Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to the sixth and final session in the Strategy plus Systems equals Success series. If you don't know me yet, my name is Judy Whalen. I am the host for this series, and the series is sponsored by my business, Center for Strategic Change. So I have a lot of topics and information to share with you today, so I'm going to just jump right into this. Let's see, it always takes a minute to get this going. Once it goes, it's pretty good. Here we go. All right, so the topics for today, let me put this back up in the center here. The topics for today include, I'm going to review the benefits of the system of strategic planning. Okay, it's a system, and we've talked about systems throughout this whole series. We're going to delve into steps 4, 5, 6, and 7 in the strategic planning process. And then I'm going to connect the concepts that we've covered in this series, and then wrap up with the benefits of embracing strategy and systems. And as in all of the previous sessions, there's free gifts for you, and we'll wrap up right at the 30-minute time frame. So here we go. I hope. One more time. This thing keeps going to sleep in the beginning. There we go. Okay. So the reason why I'm offering this series is because of all the confusion in the marketplace around the word strategy. People use it in so many different situations, and sometimes it's used correctly, but most often it's not. So the whole purpose of this is to help you understand strategy so that you can use it as a tool to grow your business. And growth is what this is all about. The premise behind this whole series, all 6 episodes, is that it's meant to help you grow your business. So before we jump into the actual topics, I just want to go back and review this definition of strategy so we can keep it forefront in our minds as we work through the rest of the topics. So strategy, a plan of action that leads you to achieving your desired outcome. Okay, so keep in mind, plan of action, achieve your desired outcome. And then here's the definition of systems that we've used throughout this series. We started with the first one, which is a group of interacting, interdependent elements that meet the desired objective. And then the second one, in order to help you understand it even better, is that it's a set of processes, tools, and people that all work together. There is part of the essence right there, work together to solve a problem or achieve a goal. And if we had a lot more time, we would dig into the nuances of especially the people part of working together along with the tools and the processes. That's really where the, let's just call it, trouble starts to bubble. But a system, set of processes, tools, and people that all work together to solve a problem or achieve a goal. So we're going to go on and talk about the whole system of creating and implementing strategy. And there is this system that you can use to create your strategy for your business or your nonprofit, and it is strategic planning. And as you go through the different steps, you're going to see how there's a variety of processes, tools, and people involved in this whole system. So what are the benefits of strategic planning? Now think about it from the angle of these 4 questions. We talked about this last week. The strategic planning process helps you understand where you are so that you can get a clear understanding of where is your business at in this moment in time. And those become your benchmarks. And if, as you move through this process, you will measure against your benchmarks. Are you making progress from that benchmark? So where are you now? Where is it that you want your business or nonprofit to be? And in what time frame? You pick the time frame. You decide where is it that you want to be. Then the next question it answers, and this is the benefit, is how are you going to get there? This is where all the action planning comes in. What do you have to focus on in order to get where you want to go? And that's where your key strategic initiatives come in. And then how are you going to know when you've arrived? And this is the piece that sometimes becomes really left in the dust for lots of people when they're doing strategic planning. You need to know what and how you're going to measure before you begin taking the action. And sometimes that's hard for people to really grasp. They want to just start taking the action and then they'll figure out if they made progress. But to be really effective, you need to figure out the measurement first, and then you build your action steps and you take the action. So remember, it's a simple 7-step process. And really, the steps are really simple. We don't need to make this harder than what it is. You just do the planning. Remember, we talked about that the last time in the last session. Understanding your environment, which is your market research. Then you clarify the foundation, the purpose of your business, the core values. Then you move on to the steps that we're going to talk about in just the next few minutes. So the whole purpose of this is to grow your business, just like that slide that we had at the beginning of the session, the slide that was in green that shows growth. The whole purpose of a strategic planning system is so that you can grow your business. So again, it's those simple 7 steps. And today we're going to go on and talk about step 4, 5, 6, and 7. So let's jump into that. I'm going to just review the 3 steps that we covered last time. And of course, the first one was planning. You need to plan for how you're going to start, conduct, and sustain strategic planning. So that's the first step. And we talked about there's a number of things you have to consider, but who's going to be involved is just one of those. We talked about the importance of understanding your environment. Remember, this is your market research phase. And we talked about all the different ways that you can do market research and that you need to get a good understanding of your external environment as well as your internal environment. And one of the tools that you can use is a simple SWOT analysis. And you can do this, I would say you can do this by just having a simple sheet of paper or a flip chart or a whiteboard. Strengths and weaknesses are typically internal to your organization. Opportunities and threats are typically external. You know, and the big word right here is typically, because every once in a while you'll have a threat that is internal. So just don't be so rigid about it, but do spend the time exploring. Okay, identify your strengths, identify your weaknesses. That's always important to know, whether you're doing strategic planning or not. And then opportunities that you could take advantage of, threats that you need to plan for and keep an eye on. Now, clarifying the foundation we talked about briefly, and it's all about your core values. You know, those core values are your fundamental beliefs that develop the ethical framework for your organization. They're the norms for behavior. They are enduring, slow to change, and most important, they shape the culture of your business. So if you're at the point where you are just beginning to hire people, or you have a few people and you're looking at expanding your staff, pay very close attention to the core values. Are they clear? Are they available so that the staff that you currently have is familiar with them? Because this is where companies run into trouble. They haven't made their core values clear to staff. And as you begin to add staff, everybody comes with their own values. They need to have a clear understanding of what your business's organization's, values are. And step 4 is visualizing the future you desire. Now, this sounds simple. We all think we can visualize. But if you don't know where you're going, any road is going to get you there. But the trick is, when you're thinking about your future, you use a different type of thinking than you do when you're solving your everyday, day-to-day problems in your operational part of your business. So visionary thinking ignores existing boundaries. There's no barriers, there's no limitations. Now, that sounds simple when we just put the words on the screen, but it's difficult for people to actually step out of what I'm going to call that tactical operational thinking and shift into visionary thinking. Partly because, especially if you've got a group of people involved in this, some people are not visionary thinkers in their own unique cogniphile, which is the way they think. And they have trouble with that long-term thinking. So they're very good at short-term thinking, and they might be the great person to be involved in operations, getting things done, getting work out the door. But in a strategic planning project, I have heard people, as they're trying to think about the vision, say, oh my gosh, this is so exhausting. We haven't even completed the things that we've already started. Why are we thinking about going and being something else down the road? Let's just focus on what we have on our plate right now. So just be aware, if you're doing this with your staff or in a group, that you may hear those types of things. If you're the CEO, though, you absolutely need to be the visionary. You need to be thinking about, where do you want to be in the future? Okay, now let's move on to step 5, because this is where it gets really, really interesting. Step 5 takes all that gathered from your market research, from internal and external, from understanding your core values and the purpose of your business, and looking at it from the angle of, what is it that we need to address in order to reach that vision? And now you'll begin to understand how these pieces are connected and how significant it is to get very crystal clear about your vision, because everything in the rest of this process hinges on, where do you want to be? So in identifying your vision, just keep in mind that a vision without action is nothing more than a hallucination. So if you truly want to grow your business and you've got this vision, you have to take action to get to that vision and to surpass it. So in this step, what we do is basically you go through a brainstorming exercise of, what do we have to address? Is it a short-term item? Is it a longer-term item? Or is it a critical item? If it's a critical item, you may be able to set everything aside, and you have to focus on that critical item first. That's not even a part of strategic planning, quite frankly. You just have to take care of any critical issues. Once you've done that, then you're ready to think about, what are your strategic issues. So it might be that let's just say you have a strategic issue where your financial status is a little rocky, or it's up and down. There's not a steady growth pattern to it, or it's not at least stable. So in that case, you would you would say to yourself, okay, my strategic issue is my financial instability. And so what you do is you just transform that into a key strategic initiative. That's something you're going to focus on and you're going to work towards. And that's what you need to work towards in order to reach that vision that you created. So that becomes a key strategic initiative. Now, as you think about all that information you've gathered and the issues that are facing you, then you start to prioritize them. And a tip at prioritizing is that there are some issues that are actually sub-issues of a bigger issue. So you just look at your issues and say, okay, is there anything that, with this item, is there anything underneath it that's a sub-item? And then you group those together. And they might become part of the objectives in your action plan. So just tuck that away as a tip, is that you can group issues together that are related. And they become part of a bigger key strategic initiative. So once you have your list of things that you think are going to be key strategic initiatives, then you start prioritizing. Which one is absolutely essential to achieve? Which one is the second most important to achieve? And so on. And then I said, oops, I don't want to go there yet. I suggest to my clients that they have no more than 5 key strategic initiatives. And the reason is that the resource that's most limited in almost all organizations is the human resource. And when you start building out the action plan, and you're going to see that in a moment, you start building it out. Think of it like a tree. You have the trunk, the key strategic initiative, and then you have the goal. And then you have objectives that come off of each branch, and they're smaller branches. And then each detailed action step is like a twig. And you have to take care of all of those in order to successfully achieve the goal. So this is where it can get really overwhelming if you don't keep it narrow. Keep it to no more than 5. Many of my clients keep it to 3, and some have even kept it to just 1. And quite frankly, 1 is fantastic, especially when you're a young organization and you're out of the startup, but you're not quite into the, let's call it the 5+ years. You've got a singular focus. So once you have your key strategic initiatives, then step number 6 is building the action plan. And building the action plan has an actual structure, or you could think about it as a mini system within this system. And it's built where you have one goal. Now, out of the goal, you might have multiple ways to achieve that goal. So those become objectives, and you can have more than one objective. So one goal, possibly multiple objectives, but then detailed action steps for each objective. And so this is how it looks in a simplistic form without any words making this confusing. You start off by just what's your key strategic initiative that you identified, the issue that you want to achieve in order to reach your vision. Then you write a goal, and there is a, let's just call it a recipe for a goal, but I'm not going to get into that now. And there's a way to write objectives. So you write a goal, you write whatever, you might have 1 objective, but you might have 3. And then for each single objective, you develop that action plan, and you go across, and who's the champion? Who's going to make sure it gets done? Who's going to keep being the little dog that nips at the heel to make sure whoever is assigned a task gets it done? Who else needs to be involved? What are the resources you need? And I'm going to just suggest to you that you really consider time as a resource, because that's often overlooked. People will start putting in, oh, we need money, we need different reports, we need some equipment, blah, blah, blah. But the piece they overlook is that in order to make this happen, whoever is assigned to this has to have time allocated into their schedule to work on it. What's your start date? What's your end date? And then here's the piece that a lot of people overlook. When you're doing the planning, determine how you are going to measure. What are you going to measure, and how are you going to measure? So that's the action plan. And then you just move into implementing the action plan. And when you're implementing, you measure. And if you're not achieving what you thought you were going to achieve, you adjust. This isn't cast in concrete. This is, we hear that word, living document. That's exactly what this is. It is a document that is used as a guide. And as a guide, you use it to analyze your progress, and then you adjust. So you measure your progress. Now, we're all familiar with all the measurements around financial. But don't let financial be your overarching measurement. There are all different types of measurements that you can use. For instance, if you're marketing and you've got a big social media campaign going on, you're going to do some measurement as to what's the return on investment of the effort that you're putting into the social media campaign. Things like how much engagement has there been? Has anybody clicked on a link that you want to take them to either your website or to a product? Have they bought or registered for an event? All those things are a way to measure. And it's the same for all kinds of other aspects of your business. If you're manufacturing, you've got all kinds of measurements in manufacturing. But just a quick example of one is, what's our percentage increase or decrease of waste? That's huge. Measurements related to your distribution channel. So think about your business and the way you would measure your progress, your success. And again, please, please, please think beyond just the financials. And so I want to move on and help you connect all the concepts that we've talked about in the 6-hour sessions of this series. And it's really a challenge to do that because we've covered so much ground. But I thought it was, a good starting point is at least to take a look at the topics that we've covered in this series. Way back in the first session, which I believe was June 28th, it seems so long ago, we started with just the very basic definitions of strategy and systems and how those, let's just say, appear in your business. We talked about the 3 levels of strategy, the characteristics of great strategists. That's one of my favorite parts of this, because I want to show you the characteristics so that you can continue to grow and become one of those great strategists. We offered tips for creating effective strategy and effective systems. We talked about the common systems that people find in most businesses. And then we talked about the pitfalls of strategy, things that you need to be aware of so that you don't go down, remember that big, deep, dark hole. And all of these topics are available on the Center for Strategic Change's YouTube channel. So if you forgot what we talked about, or if you want to go back and get more information, just go back to the YouTube channel. And all of the previous sessions are already up there. We talked about the difference of strategy versus tactics. And when you're working through strategic planning, it's very obvious because strategy is that big guiding action plan, but the tactics are the detailed action steps. We also talked about the pitfalls of systems. Just like we talked about the pitfalls of strategies, there's pitfalls of systems. And we talked about the role of systems in operations and also characteristics of great strategy. So maybe you go back and you look at the characteristics of great strategists and the characteristics of great strategy. Put those 2 together. And then we moved into this whole system for developing strategy and implementing it, which is the 7-step system for strategic planning. So this is how it all fits together. As we started out with those basic definitions, learned more along the way, and now we've got this whole 7-step system for creating strategy and implementing it. And then we've covered the reasons for strategic planning, the various steps in the strategic planning process. Remember, there's steps in it. If you were doing this full out with me, there's tools that we use. And remember, in systems, it's processes, tools, and people. And all 3 of those are included in the strategic planning process. And then we just talked about the benefits of strategy and systems. So the real benefit is exactly what we started with as a premise, is growth. Using strategy, developing a strategy for your business and developing the systems that can be used to help implement that strategy leads you to growth and success. So that's the whole point of this whole series, is growth, growing your business or your nonprofit. And on that note, I just want to say thank you for your interest, first of all, in this topic and for joining me as you could for the series of episodes here. And again, I want to offer you a free 30-minute strategy call. Just go to thecalendly.com/strategic change and schedule a call. No sales. It's not a sales call. It's just simply to help you keep putting one foot in front of the other. And then, because of the importance of core values in your business, the free download, the free ebook is the big list of core values. And take a screenshot of this or quickly write down the bit.ly link, and it'll take you right to a page where you can just enter your information and download it right there. And I want to just again announce that I just started another new series called Strengthen the Harmony Between Your Life, Family, and Work. This is a program that I have used any number of times during the course of my 30 years in business to help my clients realize and implement strategies that do help them strengthen that harmony between their life, family, and work, because we know that those three things are not silos. You know, culture has changed. They used to be silos. They're not silos anymore. What happens in your work life impacts your life outside of work, and what happens in your life outside of work impacts your energy, ability to focus in your work life. So they're all interrelated. So the new series started last Tuesday, and the next 4 sessions continue now September 6th through the 27th. Oh, and by the way, I didn't announce this. This whole series has a course with it. If you're interested in the course, just email me and I'll send you the information. There is a Facebook page, facebook.com Strengthen the Harmony, and you can see more about what it's all about. And now I have a big announcement, because I've never made this. I've not done this before. Okay, here we go. The big announcement, come on up, is I have a course called Accelerate Your Business Growth Using Strategic Planning. It's a simple 7-step process, and it's designed so that you can do it totally online. It's the same process I use when I'm facilitating, but it's just designed so that you can just work your way through independently. You don't need me to be there to guide it through the process. And for the first time ever, I'm offering a huge discount because I want you to be so successful. I want you to create a strategic plan before the end of the year. So just go to this page. I'll just copy the bit.ly code, and it'll take you to this registration page. And this will tell you more about the course. It's where you can enroll if you want to enroll. But the thing I've never done before is I've never offered this type of a coupon. I'm offering you, because I'm so grateful that you stuck with me through this series and that your insights have been helpful to me. I'm offering you a coupon of $500 off. So the actual course fee for the course is $19.97, and then $500 off makes it $14.97. Now there's a little caveat here, because unfortunately there's tax charge. So when you go and you put your code in, and you have to put your code in exactly as it's printed here, the $500 capital O, capital F, capital F. That's the only way this works. You know how sensitive things are about case sensitive. So put your code in exactly as it is here, and you'll get the $500 discount. If you have any trouble, just email me, Judy, at centerforstrategicchange.com, and I'll help you get into the process and get through the checkout. Because my goal is for you to have this whole course so you can create your strategic plan. And then you can start working your strategic plan, measuring, and moving towards your vision. So again, I want to say thank you so much for your interest, first of all, in this topic, because this is the first time I've done this topic. And I just want to say thank you. It's been a joy to truly be able to put the information together and share it with you. Again, if you have questions, just please email me, Judy at centerforstrategicchange.com. And I'm going to put up that slide one more time. In case you're interested in this course, just go to the bit.ly link, take a screenshot, get your camera out, go to that link, and then there's a way to go through the whole process to register and purchase, and put the coupon code in, please. There's only 100 coupons at the moment. So put the coupon code in, put it in exactly as it's showing on the screen with the dash and the capital letters, and you should get the $500 off the course. So again, thanks so much. And I just wish you great success as you continue to grow your business or your nonprofit. Best wishes. Bye for now.